really pleased to here introduce the next panel, which is actually related to fan and content. So talking about live sports broadcasting, and the key topic is actually how we're moving from progressively from broadcast to one-to-one. Is it a dream or is it a reality? When we think about AI, data, how are these elements triggers of moving towards a new and changing viewing experience? So I'm really happy to have here today with us Floriane Magera. So she is engineer in innovation and data scientist at EVS. Nicolas Déal is CTO for sports media at Orange in France, so coming from Paris. So we have Peter Simmons from product owner at Kisui, and Jean-Charles van Kerkhoven, who is a multicam director, so working on many different types of live production in football, but a different space in sport. So we were supposed to have also with us Oscar Sanchez, who is the executive producer of the CONCACAF, coming especially from Miami for this session. So he had some problems arriving yesterday with his passport, and he is currently stuck in the embassy of US trying to get his passports back. So that's the reason why we decided to swap, and hopefully he was able to make it. So he's probably on his way back. So if he's not able to do it, maybe we'll have just a single session with him after the lunch. So you know the reason why we created a little bit of a mess. This is my mistake. Sorry, Kurt. Sorry, Christophe, for creating that. So like we did for the other sessions, so maybe I will ask each of you to just in a few words introduce yourself. So and then I will set the scene before moving into the debate. So maybe starting for you, Floriane.
Yes. Hello, I'm Floriane Magera. So I'm innovation engineer at EVS, and I'm also a PhD student in partnership with the University of Liège. So the goal of my work and my research is to enable augmented reality graphics automatically in sports videos.
Thank you, Floriane. Nicolas?
Nicolas Déal. So I started my career long years ago. I worked many years in the news business. So I was covering wars and genocides and this kind of funny things. And I moved to sports in 2000. I joined HBS to work on the World Cup in Korea and Japan. Then I opened an office in Tokyo for Globecast, working in the transmission field. I joined UEFA in 2007 to take care of all the transmissions, contribution and distribution of the Euro 2008, and I worked for UEFA until 2019, where I joined Orange. To take care of the Women's World Cup in France, and also to prepare the Olympic Games in Paris and the Rugby World Cup we will have in France.
Thank you, Nicolas. So, Peter?
All right, good morning. I'm Peter. I'm working for 15 years in the SaaS industry, building and inventing SaaS products from mobile gaming platforms, dating websites, video and other platforms. And today with Kisui, we are building a cloud video production studio. So it's completely in the cloud. We have production tools to make high quality broadcasts all around the globe. We have the tools to engage fans. We build the systems to distribute it and to monetize it. And also we provide a lot of data coming out of that. So that's me working at Kisui.
Thank you, Peter. And Jean-Charles?
I'm Jean-Charles van Kerkhoven, a TV match director for 30 years. Delighted to do this job, and nowadays Prime Video and HBS director, and coming soon the big kickoff, and I will be QC quality control director producer for the main extending stadium feed.
Thank you. So just to set the scene a little bit, so we see that the global sports media market is really in the bright side. So we have never seen so many sports on television, but not just on television, on many different types of platforms. $52 billion is actually the revenue generated for sports media rights every year. this revenue represents the biggest share of the revenue for all sports organizations around the globe. So it's still where they make the most of the money. But what we see in the media landscape is that there are shifts happening. So we see big tech organizations, Apple, Amazon Prime, Netflix, and Dyson, investing a lot of money in that environment. So the traditional broadcast and media organization definitely have to shift and adapt their model in the way they deliver content to their viewing audiences. So we also see a big change in terms of the way viewership are consuming media in live sports. So that's obvious. So young generation are looking for short-form content, so different types of formats, and so on and so forth. And then we feel that broadcasters have to adapt their model to become more story factories, that like we like to say. And the thing is that how are they embracing new technologies such as AI, data, computer vision, and many other aspects to change their approach in terms of that. So I'm really happy to have these panelists with us to answer some of these questions and then to open the debate. I will start maybe with Peter. So coming from Kisui, we're effectively digital and mixing digital data and linear broadcasting is actually the heart of what you're doing. So what is the perspective that you have from your side around that, and how you're managing this kind of aspects of mixing both type of environments?
All right. So yeah, for us it's actually daily reality. We have a lot of broadcasters like the NBA, ESPN, Olympics. They're coming to us asking for formats on how to produce new kind of television, new formats. So I brought actually for you kind of a couple of examples to show you what we're doing and what clients are asking. So one of the first ones is this year, Steve Ballmer of the Clippers. They have a lot of new content they want to create next to the NBA League Pass. So what they're actually doing is creating in the stadium with their basketball players. They're making extra shows next to the official shows that show in the apps of the NBA. They're actually creating these shows to engage new audiences. So engaging and getting very much connected to their audience is one of the goals. Other teams we see doing the same. So others have sold rights to Apple. What can they still do to connect with their audiences? So what they are actually doing is pre-post games that they add a lot of clips, they add a lot of special guests, they connect with the fans during these kind of kind of broadcasts and send it actually to everywhere, not only to linear, but definitely all kind of platforms, the YouTubes of these world, the Facebooks, but also to their own websites and platforms. Another nice example that we have is actually reaching new audiences. So we have ESPN or the NBA too. They want to unlock potential of new audiences. So what they actually do is they have a quality broadcast of a basketball game, but they actually want to translate it. So what they do is they add talent on screen, they translate it, send it to the other side of the world, to Korea, for example. They add YouTube influencers to that cast, and they start unlocking the potential of new audiences with very small risks, low costs. They actually make new types of broadcasting.
I think you had a little clip to show that's what you wanted to do.
I gave you some.
Yeah, maybe I can ask a technique just to show one of the clip that you brought up. No, that's not the one. That's
another one.
That's the one of Peter. Anyway, so yeah. Probably not.
And maybe two more last examples that we have. Maybe you know, if you're from Belgium, you know that during the pandemic, our most famous course, the Ronde van Vlaanderen, couldn't go on. So what we did there, in cooperation with a lot of partners, we actually gave a device to all the cyclists. We put them in a room. We let them cycle together.
That's the one.
Oh, okay. So that's for example the NBA one where they actually work with influencers and YouTubers who can unlock a complete new potential. You see, it's the exact same broadcast, put in different layouts, adding talent on screen, and this goes around the world to just unlock new potentials and new groups. Send out everywhere.
Thank you, Peter. So maybe a question for Florian. So as data scientist, how do you see the opportunity of mixing effectively this kind of linear to streaming in terms of personalization? So what is the aspect of that?
Yes, so with the shift from linear TV to streaming devices, in fact there is a shift of devices, and so whilst we were usually looking content on TV, we are nowadays watching content on our smartphones, laptop, tablets, and those devices they have all one thing in common. They are all general purpose computers, and they are all connected to the internet. This is a huge opportunity, and moreover, they're all very personal devices, so they are the perfect devices to learn the user preferences. So that's the three things that we need to leverage in order to customize storytelling to the viewers.
Okay, so I think you had some examples of the impact of those devices in terms of the
Yes.
way we can generate content and effectively the way computer vision is actually basically understanding what's happening there.
Yeah, so first to pitch the idea, so we have more devices, so we aim several targets that are smartphones, laptop, tablets, computers. We also aim for different kind of applications that may be social medias now too. And we need to think about clever ways and automatic ways to adapt one single production to many end targets. And a use case of this, now you can put the video please, is the retargeting algorithm that we've done at EVS. So we switch automatically a vertical and horizontal content for television to a vertical one for smartphones, or with this video to square content that is aimed for Instagram, for instance. So there are artificial intelligence algorithms that allow to help us automate the conversion to many other platforms.
So this looks easy and simple for everybody, but effectively switching a live stream from 16:9 to 9:16 is not so easy, because of course the computer needs to understand what's happening and what to focus on to deliver that to the audience. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Nicolas, question for you. So effectively we know each other for many years, so you have been involved in many different projects. So you mentioned that, and effectively you have been one of the early adopter of IP, and then we see that IP is actually unlocking a lot of possibilities. But and I would say that for the last 10 years, so the broadcast is moving to IP, is connecting connectivity between the venues and the broadcast centers and everything. But do you think at this stage, today in 22, so we are really fully leveraging the power of IP when we think about all the possibilities it could bring?
Not really. I mean, for what we see is that the telecom companies have started to move to IP very early compared to the broadcasters, for example. And I think it's the first time in history that the telecom companies, I mean the hard companies, have started to do something before the broadcasters. So in terms of innovation, it is not seen as innovation in the telecom industry, but it is still an innovation in terms of broadcast and in terms of content production. What is really important in this move to IP is that it becomes a standard, and this is the key and the center of everything in this industry, to have standards, because we all know that it's not possible to work if we don't work the same way and if we don't produce the same kind of contents. The second aspect is that this standardization is also the enabler of the centralization. And when I say centralization, I'm not referring to the old Communist Party. I'm referring to the fact that all the data can be stored and used in one location. So we are changing a little bit the paradigms. So we have all the data in one location, and the creative people can access this data and generate the contents they want to generate. So it is really a big change. So it's not only one source of content, it is basically a multiple source of contents. We just need to have a lot of creative people accessing these contents and generating the contents. As Florian was saying, for example, I mean, if we need to have some square pictures, it is possible because the information, the data are centralized. And I think this is the biggest change.
Yeah, thanks. So we understand, of course, IP, computer vision, data are enablers of a lot of things. So basically, sky becomes the limit in terms of creativity. And it's good that on stage we have a creative person. So we have the director. So you are the one telling the story to the viewers. When you hear all that, so what is your first reactions? Are you scared, or do you see immediately opportunities?
Yeah, not at all, because I've been delighted to do this job for many years, and technology was there every step and was changing the work, make it easier or more exciting or both. So tapeless workflow, instant replay, RF movements, spider cam, ultra motions, and data. And data I can see nowadays, and we had a brilliant introduction of Mr. Martinez regarding the data, and I have to say that more and more the senior producers are relying on data to build their pre-show and to make the decision about the focus players, the key players they want to track, and I'm interested as well with the picture with the resize of the reformatting of the tracking of the players, because it's very interesting. Let's say if you move to the World Cup, the next World Cup, there will be digital content as well. There will be 360 GoPro size camera mounted on the Steadicam. There will be another one on a monopole. There will be two, they call it as digital first content creators, which their mobile phone. And they will have access to dressing room, they will have access to the channel, the player channels, they will have access to behind the goal locations, they can move during the game, they will share team A, team B coverage. So it's already implemented next World Cup, and I guess in Russia already there were digital services. So I'm excited because it's always, you know, even if we have to share the crucial position in a stadium, I'm happy because it will be a win-win position.
So this means that during years we have seen in live broadcasting or in live sports, we have seen an increase of the number of camera and camera angles. So this was the first approach. So today we have like
42.
Yeah, 42 is the FIFA World Cup, so it's just like already crazy. Yeah. But to go deeper, it's including data, including also some aspects of augmented reality as well. So
anytime you introduce new thing, new angle, new tech, you need guidelines, of course. For the main feed, for the world feed, because it has to be accurate, it has to be relevant. And on top of that, you need that the commentators can add value on the picture. Or I have an example of an amazing body cam.
Yeah, maybe we can show that. So
traditional clubs going head to head in a one-of-a-kind match dubbed an
So this is a friendly match in Cologne between Cologne and AC Milan, and there were two body cam.
With those on the pitch, as officials and players have
which is not, which is a GPS. Body cam, and then with a delay of 15 minutes, I think they can use. This is not a VR. It's real pictures. So either it will be digital content only, or it could be integrated half-time for analysis or for...
I'm not sure we would watch the whole game like that.
No, I know. Yeah, but it's the same. I remember I covered the World Cup in South Africa with a 3D kit, and there are so many games that we were thinking that why not? We can
Yes.
watch a few games in 3D time to time because we have so many games available nowadays. Or you can have a picture-in-picture with this, or you can have. But the message I want to go across is that the talents and the expert has to give something from the picture. I mean, if it's just, it could be anecdotic, it could be just a gadget. But if you have a clip management, a producer behind that, and with an expert commenting, could be nice for the world feed, I mean.
Sure. Thank you, Jean-Charles. So, Florian, when we think about computer vision, augmented reality, so what are some of the, from a technology standpoint, what are the developments that maybe you work on you see that could definitely benefit from for the live broadcasting and progressively leading towards this level of customization of the content delivered to the viewers?
Yes, so computer vision is already being used for many kind of purposes, so for logging, creating AR graphics, so computer vision is an enabler for augmented reality. And so I had one video with a head where we see that computer vision can help to get the viewer to better understand what's happening on the screen. And in the video I was showing, there is a head, and without highlighting the trajectory of the head, it's very, the trajectory of the ball, you don't see that there is a head, and that's why computer vision can be very useful. But nowadays, the new exciting thing is about 3D reconstruction. So usually when you see free viewpoint replays that also use 3D reconstruction, they use a dedicated set of cameras. And nowadays, with the new techniques that we see coming, we think that we would be able to do 3D reconstruction based on broadcast cameras only. And the idea to use that to enable customization for the viewer would be to send directly the 3D reconstruction to the viewer, and the viewer could choose from time to time to diverge from the normal program that made by the director in order to create his own replay and understand what was happening on the pitch from a certain viewpoint. So he could put the camera from the viewpoint of the goalkeeper in order to understand why the goalkeeper just missed to catch the ball. And so that could be a very nice level of interactivity, and we could do plenty other stuff with that kind of technology. But that's an idea.
Okay, interesting. Thank you. Peter, when, of course, interactivity is really at the core of what you're doing, do you think, and when I basically think about my kids of 10 years old, so they always try to interact with something, and sometimes it doesn't work, and they kind of pissed off. So, so interactivity seems a way to effectively keep the audience attracted or appealed by what's happening. So, and I know that there are some of the development that you're working on, namely in the environment of concerts. So can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, so we actually see that when people are engaged, when they are playing with the content, when they are not just a passive watcher, but when they can like interact with the game, with the concert, they spend much more time on it. And in that regard, and there we have our biggest example is with BTS, big Asian group. We have a multi-viewer where just the people itself watching the concert at home. So because 99% of the people is watching at home, the concert only has limited amount of space. So these people, over 1 million people, they just start clicking on following one preferred artist, or they're watching what's happening behind the scenes. And in that regard, when they have these opportunities, they can chat. They can chat with a local group in their own language. They can cheer if they like a certain song. They can add comments and request something. In that way, they interact the whole time with the concert. They pay for it. It's an extra value, and they keep much more engaged.
Okay, thank you. Maybe Nicolas. So I know that that Orange France is clearly one of the big sponsors, but also a big technology contributor of Paris 24. So it's this major events is clearly approaching. So without revealing any secret, but maybe you can raise the curtain about some aspects of what is the intent of using that technology to transform the viewing experience during this big event.
Of course, I'm not going to disclose any kind of secret. What is really important to understand is the basis of everything is the network. I know nobody is interested in these kind of things because it works and it's available everywhere. But this is really the key of what Orange will deliver for the games, and it's more and more the central pillar of the content creation. So what we are really working on towards the games and after the games is to create a platform, a creative platform, a technical platform. So basically a set of tools that would allow to generate all the possible contents. So it's an effort, towards the games, because of course it's our main goal for the moment. But we also think about the future, and that's really what we would like to develop. I was mentioning earlier the centralization of the contents and the centralization of the data, and this is really what we are planning to do and what we are doing actually. It's a move to have the information, to have the contents, to have the data, and to allow anyone who's creative to access this data and to generate the contents they want to generate. So that's really what we have in mind.
The direction that you intend to take. Thank you. Jean-Charles, when we talk about going towards customization, do you see an evolution of live sports, of live football broadcasting going in a direction of creating multicasting for different types of audiences? Of course, we saw the possibility to deliver different types of content. So, of course, the director is creating his director's cut, so he's telling one story to many. But do you see a possibility towards going into a certain level of personalization, depending and adapted to the different types of audiences? So I have some preferences in that team, these kind of players, and I would expect to see something that is different from somebody else.
It could be related to the multi-feed concept that have been put in place in 2002 in Japan and Korea, when HBS put through a red card, they were selling different feed, tactical feed, ISO feed of key players. So it's a B2B. It's for the right holders. It's not for the general, for the individuals. So maybe in the future, if it's a bit more open, maybe the possibilities, the facilities around the pitch could be accessible. As the camera channel, or a full-time camera channel, or the full story from the departure of the buses from the hotel, dressing rooms, press conference, full extent, full version. The tech is ready. It's a question of architecture, it's a question of rights, it's a question of monetization. According to the size of your market, who gonna pay that? It will be freemium, a new terminology.
Do you think brands might have a role more and more into this kind of willing to have specific type of content adapted to brands? I'm Nike, and I would like to have some part of the live stream adapted for my network. So maybe that's a possibility in terms of monetization. That could be really attractive for those brands. I don't know who wants to answer that.
If I may, I'm not sure about the brands. At a certain point, it will be the case. I have in mind a problem we are all facing when we are producing football matches. It's the replays. It's always an issue. In Northern Europe, people don't like to have too many replays. In Southern Europe, people are mad about replays, then they want to have more and more replays. In this case, a solution could be, for example, to prepare the clips, to make them available on the tablet or on the screen of the viewer, and letting the viewer select if they want to see the replays, and so basically launching the replays themselves and keeping the live as it is. So it's a way to make a better content and to personalize a little bit the content. I think it's interesting, and it may be in the interest of the brands, of course, because they may see there some specific messages they want to pass. So this is a way of thinking of this multi-production, and at the end, what is really the goal is to offer all the viewers direct access to all the contents. But it's not easy, and as you were saying, there are rights and a lot of issues. But in terms of technology, it is possible, and I think that if things are possible technologically, one day they will happen.
I agree partly, because I think that the viewer wants to have the best seat, he wants to be entertained. It has to be easy and stupid. Someone said easy way and stupid way. No, but it's you want to get entertained, to understand the game, to be let's say to have a good balance between the understanding of the sport. It's not only football. It's sometimes sport that you don't really understand, but you are attracted because you have a new angle, you have new things, and a good director. And we have to follow rules. It's true that sometimes we have maybe the third or the fourth replay is too much because you are late on time, but that's why we have QC as well, quality control. On any top league, you have quality control, and the directors has to follow the guidelines. But the option to get the master shot and to have an alert with the clip are ready and you can use it yourself, why not? It depends your profile, it depends if you want to interact with the content. But the main part of the audience globally, they want to be entertained and in the easiest way possible.
And they don't want to work.
Maybe from our perspective, I do see this happening also with right holders. They have their content, they want to sell it to much more audiences, so to different audiences, open new public so they can monetize it. On the other hand, if you also customize it, and I'm not just talking about the director's cut, mainly what we mainly do or we can easily offer is like make alternative broadcasts, and there you need less skilled people. The technology is democratized, so everybody can really use it. Just add a simple slate or localize something. Add content. They make translations to it, and in that way they target specific audiences. So they make more money, but on the other hand, also the data that they get from that audience is also very important for marketing purposes. So we know who's watching. For example, we did for the Olympics, we did a special project there. The amount of data that we get that they don't get from linear television, who's watching it, how long, what age, where are they, who are their fans, we know much more than the Olympics do, just because of that data. So yeah, I do think there's a future there.
I understand effectively one of the problems today in our environment is the time of processing, but effectively there are ways effectively to shorten this time of processing to give access to more content or more stories instantly. When we talk about augmented reality, do you see effectively more and more evolution of a mixing aspect of live and aspects of virtual elements that would come into this live feed that could be related to predictability of an actions that will come and things like that effectively is a combination of the interpretation of the computer vision, but also that could represent something that will happen that could definitely bring more into the understanding of the game. Maybe Florian?
I think it's completely possible to do that. So we can think of algorithms to predict what's going to happen next. Is the player going to score a goal or not? And it already exists, but it's usually not done live. And maybe there's something to do there, because I don't see why we couldn't do it live in the near future.
Okay, Nicolas, you have a word on that?
Yeah, I think there's a very good example, which is the America's Cup. I mean, sailing in general. Without the augmented reality, without the graphics, it's almost impossible to understand unless you're a specialist in sailing. So I think this made a big change in the industry by explaining the sport, by doing some schematics, some explanations on very specific moves of each of the boat. This is the right direction. And there is already something we are using in terms of augmented reality, which are basically the graphics. It's maybe a little bit primitive, but it is something that is inserted in the live feeds for many years. So there is already something like augmented reality in the sport, and I think we will have more and more of this. One of the reasons being that the networks are more and more performant, so you can really move the data and then make the data available to the users. And the second aspect is the processing. I mean, the speed of the processing that allows to have really access to the data and in a time which is short enough to do live things. And this is also the big change. Because in the past, the processing time was really super long, and so it was not possible to present the contents because the processing time was too long, and so you had to wait for the halftime or for the highlights to present these contents. So this is a big change.
So that is super interesting, and effectively all the beauty of a live direction is effectively to tell a story that is appealing for everybody, and these types of technology might enable you effectively to address a broad audience. Like today, for instance, watching an e-sport game is probably very hard for a lot of people of our age. Maybe not you, of course, Florian, but having like effectively a live stream for dummies, like also like cricket. We were talking about cricket. Nobody understands what this sport is all about, but effectively having a version that we can understand what it's all about. So that would be interesting. So maybe the last question is just like try to project ourselves a little bit in the future. So this is why we're here. So and then try to imagine what would be a live sports event or game. We match football, ski championship, whatever, of 2030. So what, in terms of technology, maybe starting with you, Florian, so what do you think is possible, and then how would you project yourself into that moment?
What I would like to see is something closer to what we see in esports. So I'm not talking about the esports competition that you're watching on TV channels. I'm talking about the spectator mode that you have in some of the games. And this application, it gathers all functionalities into one. So the viewers are no longer watching alone in their living room. They are chatting in the application together. There are interaction between the user. There are games, polls, sometimes bettings that are included in the application, whilst also looking at the regular production. They can also have the free viewpoint experience, so they can choose where to put the camera in the game in order to follow a player, for instance. And I think that's almost all the functionalities, but that's already a lot in one place. So that.
Okay, maybe nice. Nicolas?
Yeah, what I see really is more fixed cameras, several fixed cameras, and the data coming from these cameras sent to a data center, or wherever it is located, but a location where there's a lot of computing power and processing power to generate contents at this level. So offering the possibility to have multiple directors or able to choose and to select and to do exactly their job and to do their creative jobs. Technology doesn't bring any value. It's a tool. It helps people to do things, and my dream is really to have a lot of creative people generating the contents the way they want. I mean, The view can be the view from the goal, as we were talking earlier, or the view from a specific spectator in the tribune, or anything else. And I think this is my dream, to allow people to really choose and to do what they do best, which is creativity.
That's interesting, because what you say one thing, effectively using fixed camera. I guess you also think about using very high resolution camera, because we hear more and more moving from HD to Ultra HD to 8K, and at the end of the day, people are watching on smaller and smaller screens, and effectively the difference between 8K and HD and even SD sometimes
on
you don't see the difference.
8K picture
Exactly.
doesn't make a lot of sense.
But
you can crop.
But in this case, effectively, the high resolution is used to crop into it and then to zoom into it and then to create as many content as you can.
To move inside the picture.
So yeah, you would have a 3D reconstruction based on your cameras,
Absolutely.
and then you could have virtual camera operators in the center.
Okay, thank you. Peter?
Well, I wanna tap into what Nicholas is saying. For me, I think it's the democratizing of the technology, so it makes it possible to a lot of new players to come into that market, not only traditional broadcasters with a lot of hardware, but new creative people. If the content is available, they can scale it worldwide. The technology is there, and it's mainly about making kind of new formats and using that data to monetize it and build new businesses.
Jean-Charles, how do you see yourself directing a game in 2030?
2030, I guess, I hope I will be competitive still. Yeah, I'd like to have even more immersive coverage and a linear and traditional way of doing things, more in contact with the fans, with the cine-style camera, with the body cam, why not? With the progress, and I think again what you have said is it's to give access, and you have new player in the market, but it's for the viewer. It depends the profile again, and with the next generation, maybe they want to use it more and more. And okay, I know some games are boring. We know that, but that's football. Or sometimes we want more. It's an eventful match, and last minute there are 2 or 3 goals, and we say, "Oh, what a great game!" This is the sport, and we have sometimes to accept that. What I want to say that you can't really substitute a cameraman that has 20 years of experience, for example, because he is not about tracking a player. Is also to go from a player to the fans in the background. Is to go from a player to the referee who make a decision, to have interconnection, body language. Coach reaction. So it's a job, it's a teamwork, and but if you give access to all the content, it will be a pleasure as well for the user, the new user, the new directors and the new cameraman.
Thank you very much. So, I think to the initial questions, can we imagine moving from broadcast to one-to-one? I think we understand that the technology is an enabler, so it's not all about technology. Technology enables to go into more creativity. So I think we can say yes, of course, we go into this direction. So it's not about if, but more when, and effectively the big shift will be in the way we produce and the way the creative teams will effectively cope with these new technologies, will adopt them, and will take the highest benefit out of it. So we still have a few minutes. So if there are any questions in the audience for our panelists, so feel free to raise the hand, and then Can we give a microphone to Pierre? Yeah, raise your hand.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Pierre Mas, and I'm a consultant and author. What I want to say about this panel is the following. It's very good to hear the the feedback and the feelings of, let's say, the technology industry. But as often in sports business, we don't hear what people want and what people is ready to pay for. Here we are focused on the production of one game. It's an example. Yes, I want to give an example because for me, my problem as a viewer is not that I want the content of one game to be better, because I think, and this is due to Jean-Charles and other colleagues of him, talent. I think the games are very well produced and it's fine like that. But football is, as Jean-Charles pointed, can be boring. And today the problem is that you are no longer a fan of a Belgian team. You are a fan of numerous teams around Europe. And in the weekend, you want to see every team of every team that you want to see. And the problem is, for me as a viewer, is to see several games together at the same time. We've got the same thing for the Champions League, for instance. You get in the group phase, you get 7 games being played together, which you have 3 to 4 very exciting. How do you do to watch all these games? That's for me a very, let's say, interesting question. And we have the multiplex solution that is a good solution, but that is not solving everything. I want, if I dream, what I want to have is I want to be in a control room with all these screens and being able with the remote to switch the sound from one game to another. It's just an example. I just want to rebound also because football in Europe is particular because, for instance, you were mentioning the personalized replays. It exists already in the United States, actually, with NFL. And Amazon Prime is offering this to their subscriber. But again, NFL games, you don't have a lot of NFL games in a season. And so it makes sense to make the product better. But yes, my example shows that football in Europe is very different.
Thank you, Pierre. So anybody to react to that? So talking about multicasting, but also multi-viewing possibility that we can offer, and of course some level of democratization also of the production.
Yeah, I think this is, one of the issues. There are simultaneous matches. That's how it is done. So there's not a lot we can do about it. And that's also why I think it's important to give the access of these contents to the viewers. So the multi-production is for one game, but the multi-production can also be for giving the possibility of watching different matches. But then, and that's what I was saying earlier, it becomes a job. I mean, I don't know if you've already been directing a football match. It is really a job. You don't enjoy the match in directing it. So technically, it is possible to give access to each viewer of many matches. The problem then it becomes a work for the viewer to select what he wants to see at a given time. So I don't think technology is the answer. It's each viewer has to decide what he wants to see. I mean, it's not a technology issue. It's really a creative issue and a choice issue. So what we want to give to the viewers is the choice. Then the choice is in the hand of the viewers. And yeah. But it becomes a work, really.
The multiplex now, how it works is there is of course, there is a producer who mentioned that, oh, there is something that happened in the other game, and then it's very comfortable because you move from one game to another one, you miss nothing. It's near live, it's not live, but you can see the goals of any match. What could be nice with the predictable aspect of the thing is that you could have alert that something will happen somewhere. That's funny because I was surprised in relation with what you explained with the prediction, because it's a game sport. I don't want to know in advance what will happen.
Maybe
it's like the commentator, when the commentator are not sync and they are in advance and they say this is a goal and the ball is not yet in the net. It's a big frustration for sport lovers. But
for sports bettors, I think it's an interesting one. For betting people, yeah, it's interesting.
For betting people, yes, it's good. So the multiplex is working with there is a sound, you know, like a bell, and you know that you will move from one match to another one. But how to answer the question of Pierre with the technology?
I think predictability is the key. We know, I mean, when a director is directing, he has to make something which is predictable, because the users, I mean the broadcasters, they need to know what is going to be the next cut, because they have to prepare themselves if they want to insert their own cameras and everything. So predictability is part of the production.
It's the running order. The running order is key.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so there is a part of predictability in what is produced. What Florian is mentioning is something quite different, because it's the predictability on what's going to happen, not what is going to be shown. And this is where, I mean, we are really facing a situation which is a bit critical, but predictability in terms of statistics, or is the goal going to be marked with yes or no? It's a good tool for analysis and to prepare, and also for the directors, if they are able to have an information on what may happen. It's also a good help for the directors. But it has to be kept in control, because if not, yes, betting will start to do some weird things.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, it's super exciting. I know that we could continue for hours and hours. It's super nice. And so I would like to thank you. I think everybody's starving, because now it's time for lunch, I guess. So thank you. So of course, these people will be in the lunch area. So if you want to interact, don't hesitate. Feel free. And then so we'll see you after the lunch. Thank you very much.